And we're live here in Nourish, Heal, and Thrive. I'm excited we have Shawn Duteil here today. And Shawn, thank you for being here.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about you, a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm from Colorado. Um, Shawn Duteil. I own Shawn Duteil LLC. I am a natural healer, born empath, high sensitive person. Definitely recognize myself and associate with having a purpose in assisting humanity through my skills, talents, and gifts. And so, as a neurodivergent parent with over 30 years of lived experience and tens of thousands of hours of service, now successfully raising my own son with struggling with the same sensitivities and challenges I faced, I help other parents like me step up with the presence and aligned authority to raise their children free from mislabelings, abandonment, and unnecessary medication to be the loving, authentic, and confident world changers that they are. And so, I've dedicated without awareness the last 30 years and emphasis on the last 8 years of working in my business to support people in moving out of an old model of neurodiversity and into a embraced reality of gifted um, world changing abilities. So
Yeah, cool. So you've been doing this a long time. Tell us a little bit more about those challenges that you said you experienced and maybe now that your son is kind of experiencing too.
sure. So it all began about the age of 4 when I was suffering migraines induced from déjà vu experiences. This was something that I really didn't have the capacity to understand, but I was an extremely sensitive soul. Uh, all kinds of light, sound, smell, taste, touch was very overwhelming for me. And like I said, with the déjà vu experiences, those were a little unnerving. And I recall the first experiences with my mom and her navigating those through with me, teaching me visualization, nervous system regulation. And so it was rather scary at the age that it all began because I didn't have any frame of reference and it was overwhelming through and through from my experience. And this lasted for about 9 years. I learned to navigate this experience with a level of awareness and cognition that um, most people had a hard time understanding. My ways of expressing and detailing my experiences were difficult to connect with people through. And so, as we navigated figuring out how to identify the causes of these high sensitivities, uh, including large scale allergy tests, neurological tests, physiological exams. We never came to conclude what was contributing to these. And so I navigated until about 12 regular deja vu and migraine, debilitating migraine experiences. Um, Starting at about the age 6 or 7, I found myself incredibly aware of the world, what was going on in it, asking questions that my parents really had a hard time explaining as well. The state of the world, the conflicts, the pain and suffering, the joys. These were really intense for me as well. And so as we moved through, my mom and I had observed uh, regular semi-annual breakdowns, feeling helpless and in despair, unable to assist the world with my insights and my awareness to the suffering and the challenges the world was facing. And so I really just shut down about the age of 12. I shut it all down. And so my first awakening was really about the age of 6. I closed it back up a bit about the age of 12. And then Reiki came back into my life about the age of 15. And that really expanded me and opened me back up. It provided me a tool to be able to heal internally all of the discord and dissonance that I was experiencing for the preceding 12 or so years. And that helped really break through the clogs and the congestion that I had been pushing back and stuffing away due to my debilitating empathy and my high awareness and intellect with with the world. So that's about where everything shifted for me. It was about the age of 15.
Hmm. Wow. And so you've taken those experiences now and now you help other people?
Yeah, so you know, shortly after learning that healing modality and really moving forward with great momentum, putting it into play with regulating myself, regulating how I interacted with those in my reality, my relationships, situations. I found myself moving through young adolescence. And so that was a huge distraction for me. Uh, but come 2008, 2009, about 8 years after graduation, I woke back up to the world again. I started to realize that there was some really deep wounds in the world that were repeating. And so I started to self-educate. I researched a number of fields in physics, metaphysics, esotericism, self-development, healing. And so from then until about 2015, I started working globally with groups that were seeking information and insight to a lot of the questions that I had up to that point. And I started leading a group of editors that had received questions from submitters across the world seeking insight and information so that we could present these in interviews to key individuals that these people were interested in. And it was about this time that my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And it was right after I moved out of my hometown too. I had just, I'd waited about 10 years for my relationship to have my son. And so I jumped on board with life, taking me where it was going to take me. I was really aligned and resonated with the idea of surrendering to the greater flow of how things are intended to go for us and our highest good. So as soon as I left and started to actually commit to the work on a global level that I had been called to for so many years before, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and so we managed our way through that for about 2 years before she passed. And it was a month after that my son was born. And then my life pretty much, that's a turning point there. My life pretty much hit a brick wall. My relationship with my now ex-wife failed, and all I had was my son and myself. That was what really triggered the next level of healing for me. I'd spent the preceding 12 years, well, about the last 7 years, healing the preceding 12, and then it just stepped up another level. So I came back home and started focusing on myself and my son, and got back into my passion and interest of coaching and healing, which was put on the back burner for the sake of my son. And so it was in 2017 that I started hitting that new level and really digging into myself and doing the uh, next part of my arc with exploring myself, understanding myself and my reality, and healing all of the disconnections that I hadn't been able to in the preceding um, part of the arc. So that began the next portion after that with learning new modalities that really aligned with me. They really held great power in identifying those new levels of distortion in my lens, my ability to integrate the shadow, integrate the dark, integrate the light, bring balance and harmony and coherence back into my life with intention and trust. And it's uh, hit a new level in about 2021 when I started my business and actually started to accumulate a number of tools that have enabled me to provide some really interesting and powerful transformations for others that have walked a similar path for myself.
Oh, oh, really cool. So talk to us, tell us a little bit about the types of clients or people that find you or that you find and how you help them and what their outcomes are after working with you.
Sure. So it all started when I started to identify as having past lives with wisdom and experience that I could never really associate or find um, a root cause in this lifetime. And so as I was doing the work through the modalities I was learning, of course I set out to heal others. It inadvertently ended up, like most, probably uh, being for myself as much, if not more. So as I moved through the process of healing myself, I started to gain the clarity of past experiences in the context with more resonance, more um, alignment with an inner truth, an inner guiding compass that I'd always followed with my intuition. So as I navigated these healings and I was able to identify who it was and where I came from and what my purpose is here, things started to align much more in ways I couldn't explain. So I followed the guidance from the inside, and I started to provide support and service to those that were lost from their authenticity, those who were stuck in crisis mode, either from accidents or poor decisions. Ultimately, these are individuals that had been suffering disconnection in their relationships, were struggling to manifest the changes into their world and in their lives that they had been seeking. They were immersed in challenges that they were struggling to overcome and manage themselves. And so, as I moved through all the modalities of healing myself and seeing the results firsthand and started offering these services and the support to others around me, uh, I started to see where these individuals who resonated naturally came in, and those who didn't resonate with the new frequency that I was obtaining and achieving just kind of fall away. And so naturally, I started working with high sensitive people, empaths, those who associate and identify as star seeds or light workers. These were individuals that I saw were suffering debilitating empathy, self suppression, isolation, disconnection in the relationships, um, personal, valued relationships, as well as professional relationships. They had a deep seated disconnection with systems that they were not aligning with. They were morally or spiritually disconnected from. And so navigating these symptoms in their life was a big thing for them. And I found that with the work I was doing, I was able to help them realign with their authenticity, reconnect with their inner truth, their inner voice of truth, their intuition, their guiding um, inner guidance, whatever form they had. And so as I continued the work, um, I ended up finding that although I wasn't diagnosed, I found myself as an individual who probably could have benefited from some form of evaluation, but some form of neurodiversity that didn't really land me under any archetype as ADHD, dyslexia, or autism, but sharing similar traits with those that struggled with um, neurodivergency. And so I started to see an overlay between these individuals that I was formally and concurrently serving and these traits that weren't necessarily identified under any particular label, um, but were still present in their lives. And for many, my life riddled with individuals who were diagnosed with ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, autism, and various similar personality issues. I found that they were either mislabeled or never really labeled properly or not labeled at all and never received the support they were needing. And with this overlay with these individuals that were expressing similar insights and confusion about their life and their inner knowing, their intuition guidance, I started to piece things together and recognize that there was a disconnect between the way that science in our world, the pathologizing of these traits to be fixed or parts that were broken, um, was a disconnect from who they were attempting to achieve to be or who they were looking to align with. And so I recognized that the systems that were failing them weren't the systems that they were really supposed to be in at the time they were coming to me. Although they served their interests at one point, they'd outgrown whatever they needed to become who they are now. And so I started to recognize that there needed to be new systems. So I've developed a new approach to evaluating all of these introspective identities, these associative traits, and I call it now the sacred circuitry. And it recognizes and reframes and then supports these individuals in moving out of a state of brokenness, if you will, a state of symptomized victimization, and into empowerment using these traits now as gifts to present themselves in the world with true authenticity, guiding themselves towards their purpose and helping those around them just being themselves.
Wow. Wow. So if me or someone in the group, you know, resonates that, maybe they weren't not or they weren't diagnosed as ADHD or one of those types of things, but they feel like they are, what would what's their first step? What should they do next?
So the first thing that I recommend somebody do, if they're looking to just gain the insight on their own, is to start to develop a practice in which they create a space where they can obtain and maintain safety and security. It could be a holistic, religious, metaphysical, spiritual, anything that they find aligns with them. Create this space in their world. It could be in their house, it can be in nature, whatever it is, and start to build a connection with the aspects of themselves that have been mislabeled or have been neglected or ignored due to the pathologizing or the mislabelings that have occurred, and start to build that relationship with that inner wisdom, that inner voice of truth, so that they can start to understand what and where and how that it comes through, so they can move forward with that.
Okay, cool. Uh, Anything that we didn't get to talk about that you want to share?
uh the world right now is in a massive transition. I think that's unquestionable.
Mm.
Those who have a high sensitivity are deeply empathic, have insight and inner knowing, inner guidance, the ability to connect in ways that, the clair senses that most people can identify within themselves. These things are emerging more and more and more. The more that somebody aligns within themselves, with their authenticity, stops fearing the consequences of seeking external approval and validation, and instead starts to prioritize self-acceptance and actualization. Um, these individuals are starting to step forward more and more. We're seeing the separation between those who do and those who don't. The world's really becoming stretched between two apparent realities. And this is kind of the state of things. We're being pushed into this place where we're being guided in on the inside to really connect with who we really are. We came here to grow and change and become the best version of ourselves, and now is really the time that the world's challenging that. And so I really implore those out there who are experiencing unexplainable experiences, emotions, thoughts, visions, guidance that they may have never experienced, or that they had and they never really acknowledged because of, the mislabelings, the misidentification, um, to really start to surrender to that, to trust that it's actually not a bad thing. It's not a harmful thing. And even though it's uncomfortable and it can present as fearful, um, the unbalanced ego with its attachments to unhealed trauma can present itself as a survival state and push that stuff away. But um, we're really more safe than we realize. And it's okay to explore those sides of ourselves and really actually align with our truths now.
Really cool. Thanks for sharing, Sean. How can people find you if they resonate with you?
So I have a website. I have social media. And so on my page, I list a private group that I hold called Rediscovering. Uh, I have to look what it is.
Okay.
Rediscovering your authenticity, or your authentic self. Then my site's listed on my page too. So my page is just under my name.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll have you put in the comments of
Sure.
this post. We'll have you share any links that you want to share, and that way anyone that resonates with you can find you and get more information.
Sure.
You shared a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to leave everybody with before we sign off?
Uh, no, we are our own heroes. We are capable of a lot more than we realize. And as one of the mentors, the pseudo mentors that I had taken on, had said it very eloquently. Her name was Ruth Shukop. Um, do it scared. it's better to face your fears than it is to burden the regrets.
Right. That's powerful. Well, this was so great, Shawn. Thank you so much for doing this. And everybody that's watching or listening, if you resonate with Shawn and you want to get more information, he's going to leave the links in the comments so you can connect with him and find out more information about what he does. So thank you so much, Shawn. Thanks everybody again for watching, and we'll see everybody at the next one.
Thank you.